Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, if you're listening, today we have the absolute pleasure of interviewing Alexandra Pechman. We're talking about her wonderful short called Thumb. Alexandra, say hello to everybody.
Hi.
And it's Alexandra, or do you prefer I call you Allie?
You can call me Allie.
Perfect. Allie, let's tell the people out there a little bit about your short, because it's such an interesting and a little bit odd of a short, and I liked it. Could you tell the people what it's about?
Yeah, it's about a young woman who is taking care of her very infamous artist mother's estate of work after her mom has died, and then some spooky things start to happen with the art when a mysterious visitor comes to see what's going on.
I liked it in the 10 minutes that the film runs. We're able to establish concrete relationships between all the characters. That's a really hard challenge. Did you find that challenging yourself when you put it all together?
I mean, my job was made very easy in that Kate Adams, who plays Thumb, and Demorge Brown, who plays Red, who's the man who comes there, who's no spoilers, he's the boyfriend or longtime partner of the woman who died, and it kind of comes and is upset that the work is not being taken care of or whatever. And they had just like an amazing chemistry and are both really wonderful actors. So I was really lucky, and they ended up being friends and having a great time. And so it was almost like they had known each other forever, which these characters are supposed to. So that was really a great thing to have happen on set.
See, now that's always when you know you've got it done, when you know it's going to be a good day at work, when you have a cast like that where it seems like they've been around forever, but they're not. I think that's really cool for someone like yourself. Now, this is one of the first things you've ever directed. Is that right, Allie?
It is the first thing I've directed.
Yeah. That's pretty cool. How was that?
It was great. I mean, I've written things that have been produced and on TV. Like I wrote a Into the Dark installment for Blumhouse, and I wrote for Channel Zero on Sci-Fi, and so I had sort of been through the processes and seen how the words on the page get to your screen, and I really felt like from those experiences I wanted to get to direct my own work, and so it was both, a debut experience, but also I came to it with a lot of ideas of how I wanted to do it.
Okay, see, now that's what's interesting. Could you kind of tell us a little bit what you had planned versus what actually happened? Because I know not everything on the set goes exactly like you planned from that director's chair.
Yeah, I mean, we wrote it for, I think that, setting yourself up for success is super important. So Kate and I have known each other for over 10 years. We really wanted to do something together. We had been planning the idea of a performance artist. I had heard this tidbit of a story from a curator about, these artist estates where a relative, anybody sees a work or it gets locked away in a basement. And I thought that was a really interesting idea for a horror movie. And so Kate and I had been ruminating on that and really trying to figure out the shape of what that would look like for a while. Not consecutively, but probably a year we were talking off and on about that. And then when I wrote the script, I wrote it to a lot of the elements that I wanted to put together. And so I think that the things that were different than I thought, I think you just learn by doing. I felt pretty good about that. We pretty much shot what was the script, and we did it all in the time that we had allotted, and that's, thanks to lots of other people working hard. And what was different? I feel good about being able to say I don't know what was different than I expected. It was, it was hard. It was challenging. I expected those things.
That's good. See, that's what I love, is that you went in with the right expectations, and the end product does show that you guys knew exactly where you wanted to go with everything. And I know that oftentimes that can be, not the way it goes. Usually it's not. It's a little bit more rocky. So I'm glad that you had a fantastic experience. We talked about your short, which I liked. I really enjoyed it. But let's talk a little bit about you. We mentioned, this is your directorial debut for anything. But who are some people in the business that you look to as inspirations in what you're trying to do?
Oh, wow. I think just, people who are working now, like a lot of people who, I only started doing this. I was an art journalist before. That's part of where Thumb comes from. And I started working in entertainment about 4 years ago. So a lot of movies that were coming out around that time, maybe 4 or 5 years ago, mid 2010s time of this like horror renaissance, have really had a big impact on me. Films like The Babadook, Hereditary, Raw, The Lure, I think are definitely things that I saw just before I made the leap myself that really pushed me to want to do this.
You see, that's interesting, because a lot of those directors and a lot of those producers are putting out new projects this year as well. So I'm glad, and those are the pinnacle of the contemporary horror right now. Is all the films you just mentioned, and so that means you're coming from good stock. That means you know exactly the sort of taste you want to have, and that's great. One of the more difficult questions that I ask anybody, and this is kind of the zinger that gets most people. Let's say you only had 2 movies to watch for the rest of your life. What 2 do you pick, and why?
Ooh, that's a fun question. This is actually really funny, because I was just talking last night with a director friend, being like, what are perfect films? What's a perfect film that you could just watch over and over and over again? And so I am actually really well primed for this question. Maybe The Talented Mr. Ripley and Silence of the Lambs.
Oh yeah, those are good choices. Very different too.
I'll be very sad. I'll just be on the island, really depressed, watching those 2.
You will be super depressed, yeah.
We're actually not depressing though, because it's like actually both of them, somebody has a happy ending. It's just the villain.
Yeah, I was gonna say. It sounds to me like you enjoy it when the villain wins, which is kind of a unique take on that, because most of the time people are like,
well, that's actually not dissimilar from my short, for anyone who's enticed to watch it. So
ooh, there you go. Nice little carrot to throw out there for the audience there. Maybe they want to check it out because of what you just said. That's a good point. And actually, yeah, I didn't think about that when I was watching it. I'm like, who is the bad guy here? Because it's not really that there's a bad guy in your film. It's just that their intentions are much different. And so that's interesting that you say that.
I think it's the mom. It's funny, when I saw Portrait of a Lady on Fire, I think like most people, I sort of thought it was a horror movie in the first like part of it. And then you're sort of like, well, who's the antagonist? And it's like kind of the mom who's like sending her daughter away and is sort of turning her into a work of art through this painting and, turning her into this art object. And I was like, I don't know. I didn't do it intentionally, but I was rewatching it recently being like, oh yeah, like this idea in Thumb of the mother and the daughter as a work of art, like there's something of that interest that I initially had, and like what happens in that story, in that version of that movie next, if it were, a classic horror. So I definitely, the mom is the antagonist is the short answer to that.
I love that. And I love that you once again mentioned another director who's awesome and has a film that looks great coming out here real soon.
Yeah.
I love that. Now, where can people check this out? It says, according to my notes, it comes out October 15th. And what's going to be the platform for people to check out your short?
Yeah, so there's a couple ways, which is so it's gonna go to Sitges in Spain. If anybody's in Spain, on the 11th, and then it's gonna be at the Chicago Film Festival on October 15th, and it's also available for a limited window to anyone in any state in the Midwest to watch, and then online, and then it's also and that's in a After Dark Shorts Block 3, and then it's going to be at Indie Memphis, also in a virtual shorts block, and I believe that one is virtual only, and it's available to, I believe, anybody who buys a ticket in the U.S.
Nice. Okay, so there's some places for us to check out this film. You guys should check out this film because it is pretty fun. It's a pretty fun film. I actually really enjoyed watching it. I watched it at 2 a.m. in the morning, so I think that was the perfect time to do it. So is there anything else you want to tell the audience, Ellie, before we let you go and let you enjoy the rest of your day?
I don't know what dates yet, but it's also going to Horror Fest International in St. George, Utah, and to Nightmares Film Festival in Columbus, Ohio. I just don't know the times yet, but I'm allowed to announce that, and those will be in person if anybody is in those places.
Well, St. George is near my neck of the woods, so maybe.
Oh, cool.
That's awesome. So thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Let's make sure we thank Allie for lending us her time. Make sure you check out Thumb. Everybody else, have a great day. Allie, you have a wonderful day, and thank you for spending just a little bit of your day with us. We appreciate it.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You have a wonderful day. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye.